Part of the realization that Bernie Sanders can be the nominee comes down to money, raising money. Now, I hate the system we have, the money in politics system we have, raising money, political ad spending, super PACs, dark money. It's toxic, it's corrosive, it's disgusting. It has to be eliminated as soon as possible as a top priority. That being said, I live in reality, and for the time being, it is the system that we have. So raising money, raising more money from more people is a good sign about your candidacy's viability. Bernie Sanders has crushed fundraising in the fourth quarter of 2019. Now, I want to be clear, once again, I know there are people in the audience who say, David, you're not pro-Bernie enough. Others say, David, you are too pro-Bernie. I'm reporting to you how the campaign is going, period. And the way it went in the fourth quarter of 2019 is that Bernie Sanders raised $34.5 million. This is more than any other candidate who has reported Q4 fundraising so far. We haven't gotten Biden's numbers yet, or Warren's, although Warren has alluded to her numbers. This is the biggest single fundraising quarter for any of the candidates in the Democratic primary from the entire year of 2019. The money came from 1.8 million donations. Now, this is a tricky number because one person can donate many times. There's a maximum number of dollars that you can donate, but you can split it up into a whole bunch of $10 donations or whatever. So the 1.8 million donations number is not a super relevant number to me, but what we do know is that of the 34.5 million that Bernie raised, 18 million, nearly half of it came just in December, which is an accelerating donation curve. Some other candidates are also seeing that. And this is overall a $9 million increase from Bernie's Q3 fundraising last year. Pete Buttigieg also raising more money in the fourth quarter. Almost $25 million ahead of his $19 million from the previous quarter. That's a ton of money for a guy who's only polling whatever he's polling right now. 8%, is it? Now, we haven't yet heard from Joe Biden. We haven't heard from Warren about Q4 numbers. Pretty late in December, Elizabeth Warren said that she had raised 17 million at that point. That is way lower than Bernie. It's way lower than Warren's fundraising in previous quarters, and her polling seems to be tracking her fundraising, at least as of the last 3 months. Biden, we just don't know about yet. The Andrew Yang crowd is pretty pleased from what I can see. Andrew Yang raised $4 million supposedly in the last week alone of December, which seems incredible. And maybe I'm misunderstanding those numbers. But in any case, Andrew Yang, for a guy who's not polling very well, pretty solid fundraising haul. So what does this tell us and what does this not tell us? Number one, this tells us that there is a large movement of people behind Bernie Sanders. Absolutely no question about that. This tells us, like I said earlier, about the viability of Bernie's candidacy. What the fundraising numbers don't tell us include, will Bernie be the nominee? What the numbers don't tell us are also about corporate and super PAC money. Remember that other candidates, particularly Biden, have a lot of establishment corporate money behind them. Bernie does not, and that matters. That could make a difference. I hope it doesn't, but the reality is it very well may. This also doesn't tell us anything about who would do better against Donald Trump. Now, I know that there will be people who are enraged at me having the audacity to say this. To know who would do best against Donald Trump, I don't look at just total fundraising. Bear in mind, Trump raised more money than Bernie in Q4, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But fundraising is a fickle thing, and today, on January 2nd, merely looking at the Q4 fundraising for Democrats, it doesn't tell us who would do best against Trump. That's a much more complicated question. I would look at hypothetical national polling, hypothetical key swing state polling, and that will tell us quite a bit more than what we would learn from just looking at fundraising numbers. Last thought, there is no doubt that for Bernie Sanders supporters, the last 2 weeks have been very good. Bernie's polling continues to hold steady while Elizabeth Warren's has continued to collapse. We are seeing a decreased corporate media blackout of Bernie Sanders. Huge fundraising numbers. This is Bernie Sanders has to strike now. I just wish I knew what striking meant at this point in time because it's unclear what he can actually do to keep gaining support. I would probably start focusing on Iowa and New Hampshire, which will be starting to vote in the next month and 6 weeks. Very important to remember, Donald Trump still significantly outraised Bernie in the fourth quarter of 2019. We will talk about that tomorrow. Let me know what you believe Bernie Sanders could do to make headway against Joe Biden.